Let's dive in. I'm just gonna give us a quick intro, and then just try to segue into this the best that I can.
Cool. Love
All right.
for that.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. All right.
Really appreciate everything you do.
Yeah, here we go. And 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the MoxStars podcast. I am Menace, one of your hosts, and I'm here back in discussion with TopDeck.
Hello, everybody.
And Ian. What's up, dude?
What's up, guys? Good to be back.
Today, we are following up. The last time we had Justin TopDeck on the show, we were talking about the structure of tournament EDH. And the thing is, it's funny that the timing of the episode, but we created the episode and then something happened. So before we get into that, if you'd like to support the show, you can find us on YouTube where you can like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more notifications. You can also support us on all podcasting platforms. Leave us a 5-star review to make us look super duper cool. Share us with your friends. You can also support us on Patreon by becoming an official Pepperhead. For $3 a month, you can support us on Patreon. Have your name turned Dr. Pepper Red on the Discord server. All right. We're jumping right in. So the thing that happened, there was this tournament. The number of entries was 64. Pretty standard stuff. This tournament is called the TopDeck Invitational 2025. Pretty big name. Pretty big name to this one. This is one of the larger tournaments of the year. And there were 64 entries, but there were 65 participants. So, Ian, you were there. You participated in this.
Yep.
Give us a little insight into why there were 65 players at the TopDeck Invitational.
Yeah, so this is, I'm sure anybody who's listening to this might have heard some rumblings about this going on, or a lot of people have been unhappy with how this turned out. But essentially what happened was, and there was a guy who was entered into the tournament, one of the 64 people who made it to the Invitational, and he chose to, not participate, like gave up his spot. And then so what happened was TopDeck, in order to keep the integrity of the tournament, had a 64th person, as they should have. And through some personal circumstance, the guy ends up being available to join the tournament again, and thus contacts TopDeck and is like, "Hey, let me jump back in the tournament." And they're like, "Yes, of course." So, and just to make things clear, like, and we kind of touched on this just a tiny bit ago, like when we off pod, but nobody's casting any aspersions at this guy. Like, I think you make that ask every time because you want to get into the Invitational. If you can get into the Invitational, like, you're going to take that opportunity to win some money. Biggest tournament, or at least the highest quality tournament, is like what we're thinking is like 64 the best players in the world all playing games together. Like, these are going to be the best games of your life, hopefully, is what you're thinking, right?
Yeah, if you're competitive, this is something you want to be involved with.
Yeah, 100%. Like, all these players, like, we all want to win, and winning means you need to be good at the game. And in order to be good at the game, you need to have a wide variety of experiences. And a lot of those experiences that you need aren't even going to show up at the table unless you're sitting at a pod with 3 other players that are killers, right? Like, just certain political things, certain tactical plays they're going to move. Everybody's sequencing is going to be tight. It's never going to feel like you have a window. And if you're used to, like, people, leaving the windows wide open for you, like, you're not going to know what to do when you get to those higher end pods.
I think
I think everybody. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think as a gambling man, which I don't do often, but it's like sitting at a blackjack table, right? And when you're supposed to hit and when you're not supposed to hit. And then someone comes and sits at the table and they have no idea what they're doing. They don't know when they're supposed to split or hit or stay or whatever, and they start taking cards from the deck that were supposed to be sequenced differently. That's kind of like, and that causes you to lose money or lose hands or whatever. And that can happen at a cEDH table where it's like someone with less experience is going to come in and they're going to like strike the wrong window of opportunity. And that changes the outcome of the whole game, where when you're playing with people who do know what they're doing in tournament like play and to make the right decisions, to know when to negotiate and all these things, the game sequences out the way it should, right? So the player with the most skill or the player who has the cards fall the right way to them are going to win or move forward. So that's kind of how in my mind I think of it, as like, it's like when you're in a tournament, if you lose a couple rounds because you did lose to good players and the game did sequence out, you start falling down the ladder. And then in smaller tournaments, you have to fight through poor decision making to try to climb back up and make the cut. And it's a lot harder than it sounds, because you think, oh, I'm playing against bad players, I can easily make it through. It's like, no, they're going to change the outcome of the game because of their lack of experience. Like, this is a tournament where 64 people, or 65 in this case, people who all have the required experience, they were invited to be here based on that experience to make it the most competitive, tournament possible.
And I want to add one thing before we keep going, just to make sure it's abundantly clear. This is after a year's worth of grinding through other tournaments all over the country. This isn't an invitational that they do once a month, once a quarter. They had to earn their way through this through 12 solid months of grinding.
Yeah. And thousands of dollars worth of travel expenses and stuff like that. I mean, like, it was a big deal, right? Like, a lot of people, I think had high expectations of what they were getting when they got there, as far as, well, just all sorts of things, right? Like, but to most importantly, I think, is like, we all wanted to sit down and like play the game that we expected to play. So to not slow roll anymore, what ended up happening was we got 65 people in the pods, which end up making three pods of 3. And so this happened after they, like, who cares? Some guy showed up late, so there's actually 64 people in the first round, but then in the second round there was 65. Whatever, that is what it is. But the issue is like, anybody who got stuck in those 3 pods, like, they're not playing the same game, and like, people may like undervalue that. And like, maybe at your local FNM, like, that's something that's okay. But at this level right here, like, these people have like these highly tuned decks that they're looking to play specific game plans with.
I mean, 80% of them were expecting a particular game plan.
Yeah, 100%. Most of them, you could see the field was expecting a lot of grind. Turbo wasn't really super represented at this tournament. Everybody was kind of aiming for the mid range, and if you actually look at the metagame breakdown, pretty much all of the turbo decks are almost none of them converted.
No, I mean, I think you could say that one. Yeah, like Atali here in 11th. Kinnan is maybe the next. You could potentially call it. It's a hybrid turbo mid range at 16.
If it flips right on turn 3, the game's just over.
Yeah,
it's like Blue Farm. Kinnan and Blue Farm are the same thing in the sense that they're powerful on all stages of the game. You can't say that about any other deck on this entire list.
Right. Yeah, and the next turbo list would probably be 32nd with a Malcolm Kedis build there, trying to go for absolute hellbent wins.
Yeah, and the reason I think that this turned out this way is, like, there's a Malcolm Keen-Eyed Navigator with Kedis. Like, can you imagine like queuing up a Malcolm Kedis list and then like losing game 1? Like, that dude. I don't know who he is, but I feel so bad for him. Like, he did not have a chance to play his deck, right? Same thing with Malcolm Vile.
Especially not in any kind of 3-pod scenario.
Right. No, for sure. My deck is an extremely parasitic deck. Like I'm not looking to participate with the table too much. But when you're in 3 pods, you're much closer to 1v1s. You're like halfway between multiplayer four man and 1v1s. So what ends up happening is like the tempo elements of the game start becoming much more important. Like there was a dude who mental misstepped my carpet in a 3-man, and like I borderline lost the game right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with one less player to worry about, that's the optimally correct decision because you've just now turned it into a 1v1 game.
Yeah. So
yeah.
ultimately, the decision to allow a 65th player warped the experience for a decent portion of the field. But here's the thing. If you're lucky enough, you didn't have to experience it. You weren't shuffled into these pods randomly. You experienced the 4-player game that like the whole tournament. You know, it's like that's the thing that I think is most notable, is that by accepting the re-entry of someone who called out, right? Someone who called out, said, hey, I have this emergency thing. I can't be at the tournament. Oh, wait. And then they filled a slot. And then he goes, oh, wait. Actually, the emergency thing, it's not going to, I can actually be at the tournament. The TO should have said, hey, sorry, you did call out. We did call the next person on the list. They said yes. And like that, I'm sorry. That, we just had to do the best thing in for the tournament, and that was filling the slot. But then they said, hey, actually, yes, you are a reputable player. We would like to have you in this tournament. And so 65, we're cool with that. That was the mistake that ultimately was made, that some players whose decks were built to play against 4, because that's exactly how the tournament and the game are designed. Like, the whole thing was upended because they wanted someone of reputable, to be back into the tournament, to be like, hey, get back in. And you're right to say that, like, as a competitive player, you want that smoke. You want that chance, right?
Yeah.
And so you do make that call, right? And you say, hey, actually, the thing, it changed. Did you fill my slot? And if they say no, it's like, great, I'm in. What's up? I'm back. Like, and then if they say no, we filled your slot, I think that's where it ends. For me, that's where it would end. But it's also on the TOs to be like, we don't know what kind of discussion happened, right? But you would imagine that the TOs would have said something along those lines, like, hey, sorry, we filled the slot, and then you let it go. But they were probably like, oh, actually, we might be able to squeeze you in. And then you ruin the experience and you ruin the design of the tournament for a good third of the field, if not more. And then and the whole tournament just comes crashing down because it's not playing out like exactly what I was saying about, making the right decisions and everything playing out the way it should. Now there's a wrench. Now there's a whole thing, and the experience doesn't play out the way it should. Decks that are built to play with 4 players at the table, like I said, about 80% of them, which we'll get into later, had that game plan. They were, Timna punches 3 players, gets 3 cards. Like, that is, that's the strategy. So
yeah, Crom triggers once per turn. There's one less turn.
Yeah, less advantage, less.
Well,
yeah.
So we had talked about giving the TOs and the judges some kind of extra teeth and the ability to reinforce the set rules. What's the other option, right? If the TO is the one that's allowing this to happen, does the head judge get to turn around and say, sorry, but I won't run this tournament? Does the shop get to turn around and say, I don't want my name associated with this because it's going to bring bad publicity?
Absolutely.
And then on the flip side, if we stop using the TopDeck series, do we go back to the way it was in the before times where we were trying to even get 15, 20 players to play because there was no formal leagues? Or do we go the Wizards route and then unfortunately we can't do proxies anymore?
Yeah, that's another thing I always think about is like Wizards of the Coast is kind of like I don't think they realize that what they're about to bite off with taking over Commander is like now you have to take over cEDH, if you're going to recognize it as a bracket. And
to Justin's point about the TOs making changes, this actually might have been a fail on the TO part, because there's two issues with these 3 pods. So to touch on the guy being late for the round 1. So it was actually, there's a little bit more to that than I let on. So he was actually late because, and this is all like secondhand information. He was late because TopDeck had the wrong time posted for the tournament.
Oh my God.
It's a huge TO thing.
Yeah. And so it was posted for like 1 o'clock. And so this guy, from what I heard, he was literally sitting in his hotel room watching the stream for the day. And they're like, round 1 of the Invitational starts. And he's like, oh, and just runs downstairs. Right.
Yeah.
So that actually, that's interesting to note. So they let him in, which like, I think they have to. If they don't do that, that's trash. But then on the actual TO part that you were saying earlier about how they're making judgment calls and such, they did make a judgment call in these 3 pods, because from what I heard was there's a rule in the TopDeck rule book or whatever that says you can only have a maximum of two 3 pods per round, or maybe it's a maximum of 1 3 pod per round, which means there's a maximum of 2 buys per round. I'm not sure what it is, but like
a weird MTR rule with it.
Yeah. There's a maximum like 3 round pod rule, and I think it's 1, which means that like if there's like, let's say there was 66 people, those 2 guys that they would just get a buy, right? Like they should have just given the 1 guy a buy. And here's another thing that would have actually solved the issue of these draws a bit, because if you're just handing out free wins, like these players can't just draw, because everybody at the bottom who got a buy, like they're just on the heels of everybody who's winning their rounds, right? 1 win, you get buy win, you're into the top basically, like with all the draws around.
No, yeah, the structure of it all, adding 1 additional person, it should have been a buy, like, and that way the 4 pods play out the way they should.
100%, 1 buy per round until somebody drops, and then the tournament's back. Right?
Yep. Yeah,
so
they knowingly jumped over the rule book to make this happen. That's it.
Exactly.
Through the secondhand like information, stuff like that. Also, who is this guy who is in his hotel room being like, yo, I'm going to check out the introduction for the tournament I'm going to. I'm going to check out the stream. like, dude, you're competing in an hour. Even if I know I'm competing in an hour and I have the wrong frame of mind, I'm there 2 hours early.
Okay, well, hold on. You got to give this guy some slack. It was 10:30 start time, and he thought it was 1 p.m.
Yeah, I mean, that's a 3-hour time.
That is okay. If I thought it was 1 p.m., I'd be like, yeah, like I'm gonna get there.
I'm rolling in. I'm gonna
get there at 11 or noon. Yeah, like
I'm with you. This dude probably got up, had breakfast, went back to his hotel room. You know what I mean? Like this.
Yeah, but to be like, I'm gonna check out the intro stream, see what the sportscasters are talking about as we go into this tournament. I get that, where it's like, you want to kind of get a preemptive, a little, I understand. I get that. If it's that much of a time difference, expectation.
To go in with a match loss into round 2.
That sucks.
All right. The actual rule, pairing guidelines. Priority should be given to forming as many pods with 4 players as possible each round. In cases where this isn't possible, pods may consist of a minimum of 3 players to avoid multiple buys. However, no more than 1 pod of 3 players should be formed per round, ensuring that only 2 or fewer buys are given due to player count in each round.
Yeah, 1 buy would have been given, and that is completely within the acceptable range.
Yeah.
Where three pods is an unacceptable range.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so I don't know if we have like the full grasp of all that happened. It sounds like, well, like Ian, for you got stuck in one of these 3 pods.
Yeah. So I guess I could give you a little tournament rundown. It's not really all that exciting. Round one was really cool. I sat down it's actually a round one on stream. It was really cool. I sat down with Andy, Sam Black, I forget the last guy's name.
As Michael.
Michael. I don't know. I never. It was my first time meeting him. But we sat down and had a good little 3-turn game. Andy Beach does the Andy Beach thing, and you know what I'm saying.
I do.
But yeah, I had all this. Hey, that's why you're the king. So
yeah, correct.
yes, dude, it is what it is. He, drew early Bowmasters. There's Rocco deck and 2 Rog side players. He had a good hand, played it well, drew well, and crushed us basically. So he cast us into the Shadow Zone, and me and I think Sam Black even got stuck in the 3 pods too. Basically, got stuck. I played 3 rounds in a row after that before I finally took a game and got back into a 4 pod. And so that's dude, I didn't get to play very many formats. If you think about it, I played 2 games of actual
proper
Commander.
Yeah, you played proper Commander 2 times.
And I'm if I knew this was going to happen, some people can say, hey, they sent out a notification. I don't look at my top deck notifications. You know what I mean? Like that, and you can say that's on me, and I'll agree. But what am I going to pivot to? Like, I've played the same deck for 3 years. It's not that I don't play other decks in my spare time when I'm playing, but I rep Rocco. I'm the only Naya guy in the Invitational. I'm gonna play the deck that got me there.
Yeah, you're gonna do
fair share. So you're expecting me to what are my options? Pivot to Blue Farm? Like literally, I could, but it's just
goddamn player did.
The key is it's not that you can point out anywhere where okay, you made a bad decision by queuing up this list, or hey, you didn't check your notifications, or this and that, or whatever. But the reality is my expectations were set higher for this event, and that's really what it comes down to. Is it didn't meet the expectations that I think me or most of the people wanted, right? Like if I got to play 7 rounds of actual Commander formats and had the same record that I did, got smoked, right? Which I went 1-6-0. So not good. But if I played those 4-mans and got smoked on this, well, I just got to eat that, right?
Right.
You just got to accept okay, these guys are better than you, right? But I want to play some Magic. And Rocco's not tuned for tempo games. He's tuned to sneak a win at the proper window. He's all about timing.
Yeah, and even as different as our lists are, I completely agree with you on that one.
Your list would have performed much better in this environment than mine.
Which is wild to say, right? But
yeah, much better though. Because you still have those mid-range punchy wins, but you're going to have so much more ability to kind of move the table around.
Yeah, I think ultimately your expectation was that you were going to come in, you were going to play. It was 7 or 8 rounds Swiss.
It was 7.
So your expectation was that you were going to play 7 rounds of Swiss, all with 4-man pods, because that's the integrity of the structure, or the integrity of the tournament that you expected. And the expectation was that the TOs were going to make a decision that was in your best interest as a player, because you expected that was it's fair, very fair expectation.
It's not even unreasonable at all. I haven't played a 3-man pod since the only time I've ever played a 3-man pod, which I know that they exist. I know that they're around, and I've been lucky to dodge them. I've also dodged every single buy. I've never got a single buy before, so not complaining, but things balance. But I haven't played a single 3-man since the very first Commander tournament I ever joined. Shout out to the Eldritch Bastion.
Yeah, out in someone's backyard. That's the thing.
15-man tournament, right?
Yeah. like that's where a tournament struggles to get entries, which is where, but hey, this is a structured, designed, large scale event that has 64 invitees, and then they have the roster of backups, and you would just hope that because the stakes are so high that you have earned your invitation to the TopDeck Invitational. It's like that they would uphold the integrity and the of the game, of the format, and keep it at 64. And I think that by allowing a 65th entry, they skewed the results dramatically of the outcome of the tournament.
It would be unfair to make ban changes based on the outcome of this tournament, but what this does suggest to us is that decks that are just piles of good cards are going to be able to pivot to any situation much better than decks that are designed to attack a specific board state or gameplay, attack specific gameplay patterns. Because when I sat down in these 3-mans, these are gameplay patterns that I don't see. Nobody's counterspelling your Soul Ring in 4-mans.
Yeah, but someone's gonna misstep your Carpet Flowers.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. The piles of being able to Demonic Tutor for your Underworld Breach or your Mystic Remora, or in these 3 pods, a Swan Song or a Swords of Plowshares, those cards, they go through the roof.
Yeah, I think ultimately the composition of this tournament speaks to a larger issue, right? We can talk about tournament structure, giving TOs and judges teeth, which Justin and I, we do feel that's necessary. That needs to happen at some point. And this is just folding. Whoever the TO was folded. I'm sorry to say it, if you're listening to this, you don't deserve another shot at TOing until you've earned it. You need to take a back seat to other people who are going to say no when you're risking 64, 65 people's time, or essentially, they threw this tournament in the garbage. Whoever made the decision to say, yes, you're back in, threw the tournament in the garbage. And you need to be able to say no for certain things. You need to be able to have a judge come around to the table and say, hey, that's a, first warning, game loss coming up next. If there's an infraction, you need to be able to do that. Now,
I agree. Judges need to be meaner.
Yeah, they need to come through and be like, "Hey, stop being
more educated." Too. I mean, I'm not going to talk about this specific event because I didn't have too many judge calls. I had 3, and the ones that I did have, they were reasonable. Even though there was one that was a pretty tough call, but I won't get into that. I did hear a lot of people complaining about judging, but I always hear people complaining about judging. So I just think judges need to be ready to just drop the guillotine. I have never seen anybody get DQ'd other than Max.
Yeah, I mean, well, and it'd be good to get your a quick interpretation of this rule change that I personally think should be put into it, and that is the timeout token, where in each game, each player gets 3 timeout tokens, right? Or political tokens or whatever. But if you, without being called for slow play, you can put a token in on the table and say, hey, I would like to stop the game here and discuss with the table what's going on, right? Otherwise, the game should work in a way where it's I'm going to make this play and then priority, priority, priority. And if someone wants to stop and say, hey, I want to, really talk about how this should play out for, with your decision, here's my timeout token. That gives the table a total of 12 timeouts, right? But what this does, more than anything, I think that's more than enough. That's more than enough time to stop the game and say, or more than enough opportunities to stop the game and say, hey, let's talk this out. But it gives judges the opportunity that if someone calls judge and calls for slow play or whatever, it's you explain the situation and the judge says, yes, you are charged 1 timeout token. That gives you less opportunities to interact with the game because, one, you did make there was an infraction on the game and or the rules or whatever. And then 2, if you lose all of your timeout tokens and your next penalty results in what would otherwise be a loss of a token, you're disqualified from that game. That is a game loss for you. You're jettisoned into space. I'm sorry, you have you have no more like get out of jail free cards, so to speak. So yeah, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on something like that.
I think it's interesting. I like what you're going for, which is nerfing politics.
More than anything, it's to like save time for everybody to say, hey, the game should be moving on at a reasonable clip, right? And now we have these tokens that say, hey, you've bought yourself, let's say, 3 minutes of time for that token.
So like my question would be like, how do you enforce this? Because like, are you going to just give players more ability to call judges for politics? Like, because you can't really stop me from just talking while the game is going. And then like, if I am talking, do you now have the ability to be like, hey, he's talking too much and
he's
slowing
stopping
down the
me.
game, right? So my opponents now can like call a judge on me and be like, hey, he just talked for 30 seconds. You need to take one of his cards.
Like, I mean, yes, if you are intentionally slowing the rate of play, then yes. Yeah. Like, if the play is being made and you go like, I don't think that's a good idea, right? And then the opponent goes, well, like, if you'd like to use a timeout token, you're more than welcome to explain why, right? So there can be strategy in trying to like bait out tokens, because at the end of the day, if tokens don't get played, right, you might think, like I could have had an opportunity to stop the game at a certain point. I'll use my tokens better in the future. Or, man, he really got like, I needed one more token to say slow the game down. Whereas now if everyone uses all their tokens, it's not necessarily a grand abolisher type effect, but it is strategy to be able to like, hey, use your tokens at the right time, interact with the game in the right moments. You have 3 chances to do that.
Oh, my take on it, Ian, isn't to prevent the 30 seconds of talking. If you're going to talk during the game, that's fine. But you don't get to talk for 30 seconds to decide if you're going to pass priority on it or not. That's where those things start to pile up.
Yes.
If you want to discuss why I should be passing priority or not, you get 10 seconds and you just have to move on. Like there should be none of this. We're going to talk through every possible option to see what's going to happen. It will also enforce better play and people really learning when to interact, when to put their finger in to just get an invite to any kind of these invitationals. I think it's more designed, though, I shouldn't be allowed to take up 3.5 to 4 hours of an 11-hour game because I'm going to politic every goddamn decision.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, I like the goal that you guys are aiming for, which is to reduce the power level of politics. I think that's a tough one, like in its exact form. It's like really tough to enforce, because my first like response and keep in mind, like this is from the perspective of somebody who's like only trying to win and not necessarily like evaluating this on like a enjoyment of the players at the table level. This is more like the first thing, I'm going to steal all of your cards when you talk. Right? Like I will call judges 5-6 times around if you want to talk.
Yep.
Right? Like if you want to open your mouth, like you now need to use your card immediately. And so you're opening up like the ability for some players to kind of bully other people more, especially on a social level. It's like some people are going to feel like they can't even talk because there's a player that's like willing to and good enough at this stuff that they know the rules. They're sitting there counting the seconds. They're calling them every second that they are like trying to like politic while they're tutoring their library and stuff like that, which like, and I'm saying like, that's what you need to do. That's what you'll want to do if you're trying to win games. And so people will do this. You can't, the thing you want to do is you want to incentivize people to act better, right? Like I actually saw a really interesting thing, and I wish I could credit the guy whose idea this was. It's a really cool idea, and I'm not sure it's all the way there either. But the concept was if we changed the tournament format, so it was more of like a round robin style, where once you get X amount of points, then you're like qualified for the cutoff. And so that really heavily disincentivizes draws because, like, if you draw the whole tournament, you'll probably never even get to, you'll never get to that cutoff. And if the cutoff's increment is in fives, then the draw points, like the one extra points, are only there for tiebreakers, right? Like, if the cutoff is like, we're going to play until 8 people have 2 wins. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you could draw that line, like, and just be like, all right, it's first come, first serve basis. First to 2 wins, makes the cut.
It gets awkward because you start pulling people from the tournament once they achieve a certain amount of points, and if you don't pull them from the tournament, their incentivizations are off. Meaning, like, if let's say I get 2 points and then I sit down with my brother, like, dude,
Yep.
you know what I mean?
I say, and without saying that part out loud, yes, completely 100%.
Yeah,
like
fold the game for me. I think that leads to more like team strategy, right? Or like in trying to push it's like, this is like team strategy in like racing. Even it's like, if you're part of a racing team, you push one guy forward and you try to hold the other people back. Like, you make it harder for other racers to move up in the field. Like,
and that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Like, I think that there's all sorts of people who have said things like, hey, this isn't cool that you're able to like bully us into draws. It's like, dude, I have 3 wins. Like, this is my right. Like, I've won these games, and now I have the ability to do this. Like, so if you're complaining about it, you need to win games. Then obviously that's something that only matters if we're having if the fundamental tournament is still like intact.
Yeah, it would be.
Also,
yeah, go ahead, Justin. Sorry.
Would that even work though with this 65 player format here? So
yeah, I don't know. I think it's a cool idea, like, because I like the idea of what it does. It changes our motivations, and we start acting like players who want to like play and win the game. And I think that any solution has to come from like changing our incentivizations. And currently, our incentivizations are, it's free to talk, and there's no downside in trying to convince stuff. Like,
there's no downside in slowing the game down to make a player make a wrong choice.
Dude, the best players are literally just constantly asking people, hey, can I have this? Hey, can I have this? Can you do this for me? Can I have this? Can I have this? Will you do this if I do this? Like, nonstop.
Yeah, I think the difference in both suggestions is like racing to get the points or racing to qualify, right? And incentivizing winning. What I think that would do is make more people show up in groups. Like, you would show up in groups to push a certain person ahead, after first round, right? It's like, who won their game, right? Okay, whoever lost, you slow the other people down, right? And so push these guys forward. And so you have more of a team incentive, which would actually make for like more of a like, you would get larger groups of people showing up in teams to achieve certain results, and it would be more of like a team effort at the end of the day, and you can all hold the trophy up together, right? But there's only one card to win. There's only one prize to win. Do you split it amongst everybody? And then
sure. I also think you're going to punish the liars and the toxic players more, because less people will be incentivized to allow them and prop them up.
Hey, what you got against toxic players, bro?
Me? What do I got about a lot?
And then the other aspect of it, with the suggestion that that I'm making with the tokens, the timeout tokens, is like, now it comes down to a knowledge base, like knowing when to interact with the game. And you're saying like counting seconds and like some people are going to be stingier about it, sure, but like when you're tutoring their deck, or when someone's tutoring their deck, just throwing out a quick, be like, yeah, I don't think that's the right choice. Like, saying that, right? That's not worthy of a penalty or whatever. You might just be trying to get it in their head with one little line, and then they're like, what do you mean? And then you just go like, I don't know, use a token, find out. Like, find out what I mean. Right.
But I'm calling the judge anyway, because the next time the judge gets called on that guy, like, he's going to get hit.
Sure. And then he makes his case to the judge. That's the thing, is like when you make the case to the judge, it's like a referee in football, right?
Yeah.
It's like you have a challenge. You have 2 challenge flags per game, right? And you can throw that challenge flag and someone interjects in your turn or whatever. It makes a little quip or whatever. And the judge comes over and you're like, oh, he said something, It's not that you can't talk. It's just the egregious nature of politics at the moment in the current game state is that, or in the format at the moment, is like, no, I can talk as much as I want, and bullshitting with the guy next to you, that's not a penalty, right? But if it infringes on the pace of the game because his talking to the other player has slowed the rate of play, then yes, then it's like, hey, these guys aren't allowing me to continue through my turn because of their conversation, because they won't move on past priority. It's like...
So really what you're advocating for is like you, and correct me if I'm wrong, you really just think that people should call slow play more often.
Yeah. And this gives judges teeth to be able to say, I'm going to enforce slow play. It's like the pitch clock in the MLB, right? It's like priority. Like you get 15 seconds to decide if you want to pass priority or not, right? I know that sometimes it takes longer to do that. Well, now your knowledge of what's in your deck, on what you're going to tutor for, and it's like the rope burning down an arena. Like we all know these things, right? Like they found a way to enforce it on Arena. Like we should by now have found a way to enforce these things at a tournament level to say
what if we just banned Mystic More and Ristic Study? Would that solve all of like the issues that you're having?
Anything that slows the game down, it's banned. But like as we go through triggers, right? Like Remora trigger, Ristic Study trigger, priority. You're going to pay the 1. You should know whether or not like your game plan is going to allow you to pay the 1, or not. I mean, no one ever pays the 4, so it should be easy to be like priority. All right, draw a card. Next.
Yeah, Ristic Study needs to get banned.
Yeah, Ristic Study is probably the worst offender here for how many triggers it puts on the stack.
It never gets countered, and it warps the game around it. It's like the craziest combination of card. Like, how is this possible that like the scariest card in the game is below the counter threshold?
Yeah. And that sort of like so closing off like that discussion, that's really ultimately the goal of creating a better experience for tournament players, is to respect their time and then also to enforce the rules of the game. Because right now it is the Wild West out there. Like we see, 65 player tournaments happening, and on a large, like this is incredible. Like this is supposed to be like one of the biggest tournaments of the year. And there was no consequence for the action of adding a 65th player. And it didn't fall on the TOs. It fell on the players. So there needs to be some sort of enforcement from league officials to say like, hey, sorry, you're no longer going to be organizing tournaments for us. Blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. We don't know if that happened. Anyway, but at
Ian,
what's up?
Based off of the fact that this was a year-long grind, are you incentivized to do the year-long grind again, knowing that this could happen to you a second year?
That's a great question.
Yeah, you know what, dude? I'm glad you asked that, because I was literally thinking about that this morning when I woke up. Honestly, I'm definitely less motivated. The thing that keeps me motivated is I want to beat all these guys. Like,
True winning spirit.
I hate getting up from a table and like the guy who beat you, like you think you're better than him, and you're like, this dude, like I don't want to lose. So like I love all my guys, but I want to beat all of them. So that keeps me motivated. But the Invitational really, I think to your point, like it definitely, I would say like I really hope that they learn from their mistakes, and I'm gonna attempt to qualify one more time. And if next year's a fantastic experience, then that's great. Life is good. I made good decisions. If it ends up something like this again, that'll be really upsetting. I also think that they should get rid of that voting in thing. I think that there's no point in like having 4 players that are, I don't want to, I'm
Less
not going
than
to say that they're
qualified.
less skilled, but like they didn't necessarily earn it in the way that I think that a tournament of this like, think of like the Magic Pro Tour. Imagine if somebody was just like, hey, if you just like donate money, like we'll let you into the Pro Tour. Like,
Yeah.
it just
Covert
you
Go
can't-
Blue gets in because the people voted him in.
Yeah, it's just like really not cool. Like you get paid for being like, I'm not somebody who does social media. You know what I mean? Like I got on Twitter because my buddies, like 3 guys text me and were like, try and win this Mox at Steel City, you know? And so like, okay, I jumped on Twitter. But like I don't like market myself. So there's people
Getting
out
4
there that,
whales in, not cool.
What?
Getting 4 whales in because they're popular isn't cool.
Yeah, like that's definitely like it's a thing. Like, 100 people that are willing to pay for you to get into the event. Well, they're all going to throw money at it. It's just kind of like it leaves a bad taste, and like nobody playing in the tournament really wants to play against those guys, and nobody who like the 61st through 64th players, like they're just pissed for no fucking reason.
Correct.
Yeah.
So also, do you mind if I share a personal gripe about this? We don't have to go deep into it, but the playmats.
Let it out.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. So
Yeah, I want all the tea.
let me just say this first off. No shade at Gold Sabertooth. His art's cool. The mat though, dude. Why are we doing a Pokemon Blastoise mat
Do we have an image of this?
for my Magic the Gathering Invitational? Like, what's happening here? Like, it could have been. There's so many options, and then just the icing on the cake was when they handed me the mat, and the guy goes, "What rank were you?" And I go, "Oh, I was 18." And he pulls out a Sharpie and writes 18 on the mat inside of a little square. I was like, "Oh, this doesn't." What are we doing?
I'm trying to find it.
I was like, what? I don't, it doesn't feel like a trophy. Do you know what I mean? Like somebody Sharpied in 18 on the mat. When I sit down and lay that down across from somebody, it doesn't mean anything. You know what I'm saying? Like
I can buy a Sharpie too.
A little iron-on, little embossed, little hollow stamp that says whatever, dude. They did it for the champion. The champion mat, he got a champion thing in there. I don't know. Maybe my expectations are high, but when you spend a whole year trying to get into an event, like I at least expect an MTG themed mat, you know?
Yeah. Did
Or
it
something
have a Venusaur on it?
Bro, it was like they said it was
a
an
Blastoise
Arcanine and a Blastoise, and it said something about range. The text Ranger Captain was loosely written in on there, and I was just like, man.
I'm on his Twitter right now trying to find it. So it's
For people who like Pokemon, it's a sick mat. I'm not hating on the art. You know what I'm saying? I'm hating on the fact that they Sharpied in a number on there and that it's like it didn't hit the mark.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah,
That's me being a baby. Sorry.
No, you're right. The artwork is sick. Like I will say, like all of Gold Sabertooth stuff has been like it is iconic at this point within the community, right? Because Gold Sabertooth has done so much artwork for like Play to Win and stuff like that too.
Oh, dude, we need it. I love that we have like custom Commander playmats that are like on color, like really unique, cool arts. Like that's great. I see his mats like literally sometimes 20% of the players in the room are rocking Gold Sabertooth mats.
Yeah, it's like Death Milk designs and tokens.
Mm-hmm.
Tokens are so good.
So good.
Yeah.
But yes, I understand your gripe, and I would also be extremely disappointed if I'm going to pay these event fees towards this invitational. I think part of that fee should have gone towards something better for this top 64 players.
Yeah,
even
it's like
including
these people have $5,000 decks, bro. I watch guys spend $300 on a card just because it's a little bit shinier than the $5 version. Like,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? Like, these people have an expectation of quality. Like, that's really all I'm getting at.
Yeah, your 18 should have been embroidered in
I agree.
with your name on it too.
Why are the edges of the mats not embroidered?
Oh, I've seen this dude at frickin' MagicCon. I'm seeing his face for the first time. Gold Sabretooth.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, you probably played against him.
Yeah, there's probably a good chance.
I don't know how he finds a way to slide into all the tournaments that he's selling at, but he finds a way.
Yeah. Hey. Yeah. Like all the stuff for such a large tournament, they should, like, obviously you want to put as much thought into it. I think that's when you just start realizing that like the level of detail that like we have for even in deck building is like not reflective of everyone's attention to detail in any, in what they do. I find that all the time when I'm cooking, but
that's fair.
Yeah. The topic that I would really love to segue into here, because obviously the results of the tournament are what they are. But 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the top 8 included Timna. 6 of the top 8 were Blue Farm. This is a discussion on, and what I hope to open up a can of worms on the metagame and the decision for Wizards of the Coast to say that they, after the bannings of Jeweled Lotus and Dockside and stuff like that, they publicly came out and said, we are not making any bans for the next year. Now we are seeing the results, like the unfortunate results of that decision to say we are going to not affect anything for a full year, see how things play out. Well, this is the reason I'm not currently wanting to play any tournament cEDH at all, is because you show up and it is the same decks over and over and over. There is no, like, especially for something like this, if you wanted to submit something creative, well, unfortunately, you're going to find yourself at the bottom. Like there's
like Gretchen Titch Hollow.
Yep. I was just gonna bring that one up.
The deck's so cool. The deck's so fire. I was like, when I clicked on it, I was like, this is sick. And I looked at his record and I was like, that's a bummer. It's a bummer.
Yeah, it's
the deck was so
Thrasios.
Good.
It's like it's non-partner Thrasios.
Yeah. It's almost a little bit better when it's comboing off.
Yeah. Anyway, but I want to hear, Ian and Tordeth, I want to hear your opinions on like what the metagame. It's insane right now. There's no variety. It is all the same. It is all the same stuff over and over and over again. And how does Ian, how do you stay motivated knowing that like, yes, you are through and through a Naya guy. Like you are going to throw it against the wall as many times as you have to achieve the results that you want, that you need, that you want to see out of yourself and out of your deck. So like, is that what keeps you motivated? Is like you are constantly wanting to test the fence for weaknesses? Because as it currently stands, it doesn't look like Blue Farm is going anywhere.
No. Yeah. I think that the one truth in the format right now is that you want card advantage in your command zone. However you do it, even something like Dahada, it doesn't look like card advantage, but like it makes 3 treasures. That's draw and play 3 Lotus Petals. But most decks that are good right now, like all of them have card advantage. And that's just because the card quality of non-commander cards is so busted.
Yeah.
Here's a cool thing to know. If you look at the open results versus the top, like the invitational results, the invitational being what it is and the results being skewed how they are, I think that everybody, like nobody's surprised with the results. Maybe there's a little bit too much Timna Crom, but the results are as expected. Like, if anything, it just validates this theory that better players, it's harder to win against better players. And so that means that when you're playing turbo, the more good players you're sitting down across from, the more likely they are to reverse engineer your combo before you go for it, and thus be prepared to handle it. And so it doesn't surprise me at all that what we find in the top 16 and the top 4 is just like all mid-range lists, because every single deck that did well was able to either force those draws or be able to punch through in those like turn 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games where people have a million resources. Whereas if you look at the open, the exact opposite is true. You expect like, okay, on average, the pods have lower quality players, which means you're going to have a guy there just ready to throw the game. You know the guy, the one who casts his creature combo into open removal that's been known to the table only for him to pass to the next guy and just win with a creature combo, right? Like that's going to happen way more often at those events. And so you look at the open results and it's like the top is like all turbo. Like the whole top 16 was like turbo. It's like we had actual inverse of what you would expect. And I think that goes back to what people consider like what's a top 16 deck and what's a deck for conversion. Like if you look at my conversion rate, it's incredibly high, and it's because I only play turbo, right? But you get to top 16, my top 16 record is a lot worse than my Swiss round, right? So I think that's what it comes down to, is like you get paid for being proactive against not as talented players. And that shows in the meta. It's like you kind of have to make a decision of like, how good am I, right? And like, am I willing to play those games where everybody's got 40 cards in hand, and you have to rely on these like rules, as opposed to like you can't actually calculate your lines, because you don't know. Every time a spell gets put on the stack, 6 new cards are entered into the fold. New mana is available. What do you like? You know what I mean?
Yeah. This is like that, you know, and I understand like your argument earlier about like the timeout, like tokens and stuff like that is like, yeah, I do understand that like when the spell goes on the stack, it makes you reconsider your options, and it may take you more than 15 seconds to process, you know, like everybody's different, but I feel you.
Yeah. So as far as the meta goes, I mean, like, yeah, Timna is obviously like really busted. I know you were kind of alluding to that earlier. She's definitely the best. It's more to do with the fact that like she's card advantage, and you start with a 9th card in hand with all the colors. It's like, it's totally unfair. Like partners really should, this is maybe a hot take, but like if you're on a partner, you should have 6 cards in your opening hand, like, because you're already at 9. Like, come on, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's and especially with Rograk, you know, it's like you don't even need the mana to play it or pay for it, you know. So it's like, yeah, that is an advantage in itself. It's like, yeah, you get an extra card in hand. It turns on some cards, like initially, like Mox Amber becomes immediately a Mox Ruby. So there's a lot of
Rograk's
advantage.
better than a Mox Ruby. Like just so we're clear, Rograk is better than a Mox Ruby.
Yeah, there's so many outlets for it. Like it's
in the command zone.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
you know, there is, you get inherent card advantage just by having 2 additional cards, or an additional card compared to people who aren't playing partner. So there is only incentive for you to really play partner. I would say that, you know, Rocco sort of like curbs that a little bit by being a 2-for-1. Like when it's cast, you do go get something. But yeah,
it's hyper specific, right? Like that's the thing. Rocco doesn't need, he's just different. He's built different. Like he doesn't need card advantage.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of decks that can say that.
Yeah. Them Naya guys are built different.
They're built different, bro.
Yeah. It's it is like it's part of your strategy. It's part of your advantage, you know, but to harken back to like the way the tournament played out and the density of certain decks versus others, this is the largest tournament of the year, right? 19 entries were Blue Farm, 6 were Thrasios Timna, and then 8 were Thrasios Rograk, 5 Rog Size, 2 Tevish Thras, and then it dilutes, to 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So, yeah, there's an issue there's an issue in metagame diversity, right? Usually when we see this in other formats, this is where like Wizards of the Coast stepping in, they have a monumental task in front of them on how to balance this format. And, like certain decks like Blue Farm are sometimes 40% of the field. And if we saw that in any other format, like we did in Standard this last series, VV being over 40% of the format, people immediately like start calling out and saying, this is not a diverse metagame. This isn't, it's like you have to play this deck. Otherwise you're not moving forward. It takes the competitive nature out of the game. So like, because you're just playing the best cards, and that ultimately is the feeling you get out of like Crom and Timna is it's a 100 card pile of the best cards in Magic that results in ultimately winning the most games. So yeah, like you have to, at some point, you do have to stick your finger in there and say, like you said, there has to be a rule change that say, hey, if you're playing partner, like you can mulligan, but you start with 6 in your hand. Like you get 2 free mulligans, but you're always starting with 6 in hand. Like, or something.
There's
like
also
that.
something to be said about 36 Thassa's Oracles decks in the tournament. So that's
I agree with you on that one as well.
Yeah, there's an
people don't talk about Thassa's Oracle that much, but like it's such a problem. Sure, it's an A plus B combo, but like, what do you guys think is like a reasonable, like, I have 2 cards and when I play them both together, I win the game. Like, how much mana should that cost?
I think at a certain point you start, because there are certain combo lines that from the command zone usually require 11 mana or more, right? Or additional pieces to already be existing on the board state, like for that. So 2 cards coming together to win the game, I would from the deck.
Yeah.
I would love to say 6 or more. Like
6 was going to be the number I gave you also.
I think 6 is fair. Oh, go. Sorry, Jessica.
I'll say, because even in my just Christmas Dreamland hand, if I went Cheerio, Sol Ring, Arcane Signet, Land, that's 5 of my 7 cards. I shouldn't be able to have the other 2 cards win me the game, because that's not enough mana based off of that to do it. So 6 at the minimum to be able to do what's needed. Otherwise, I just mulligan. If I hit it right and I'm going first, there's no way to stop it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm kind of with you guys. Like, I think 6 is fair. I don't think anybody would even consider anything in our current format at 5, which is like telling, right? Like, there's a lot of 2-card combos that just either make infinite mana and win the game, or just, straight up together will do some nasty stuff, but like nobody's willing to play them. Whereas Thassa's Oracle, like, it's, if you look at it, like 5 mana is supposed to win you the game. It kind of like comes with like a dark ritual or like an LED like stapled onto it, right? Because like you shouldn't be able to do that for that little of mana.
Mm-hmm.
You factor in the fact that it lets you build your deck exactly however you want. The fact that it forces players to be on blue if they want to interact with that. Like, we already have Underworld Breach, meaning you have to be on blue. Like you can endurance in response to a breach and they'll still kill you. Like,
yeah, they'll still get over top of it.
There's no other thing other than Beseiju or maybe Abrupt Decay. And even those cards, they'll just like win on top of it. So yeah, like Thassa's Oracle is such a big problem to be able to pivot so quickly like that and just like end games. But also, like, they always come with the Rhystic Study, which like it's not fair for decks to be able to just fire off one Vamp Tutor and now they're a control deck, even though their entire deck is literally built like a turbo deck. It's just they have so much card advantage that they can use all these like turbo spells to play control. Like that's it's not a healthy play pattern, and that's what we're dealing with at the top levels.
Yeah, it's ultimately what you want to strive for is like a format that has tons of healthy play patterns that don't disadvantage other decks. It's just like
cut Oracle, blue's viable, or non-blue is viable.
Yes, yeah. If you were to get rid of, because then blue becomes like Rhystic Study, Mystical Moor, yes, for card advantage and interaction. Obviously, like you want to be able to interact with the game in meaningful ways and stuff like that. But without Thassa's Oracle, it has to generate enough card advantage and run into like enough mana to be able to like create the win. And that's where you would be able to match, is like the way for them to win the game now becomes a greater feat. Like, yes, you can interact. But you would be sacrificing.
I would also suggest.
Go ahead, Justin.
I would also suggest that your flash enablers become a lot less scary if my Thassa's Oracle can't be cast at any point.
Yeah. They like another suggestion that I made on the previous episode that I think would, I was being a little bit egregious by saying, remove the ban list or whatever. But in this current state of brewing that I'm in, I really like to build cEDH, which is building a powerful deck within the confines of bracket 3. So I think in order to create more regulation in the format, to create a healthier competitive environment, like limiting decks to 3 game changers, that's it, right? And then you could remove certain cards off the ban list, because then it's just like, well, you have to choose between Rhystic Study, Underworld Breach, and Thassa's Oracle. If those are the 3 that you want to run, it's like, then you're left without your fast mana, you're left without abilities to get to the shortcut win. That's kind of the idea.
I like that a lot. I think I agree with you. I think that if cEDH adopted one of these brackets or something like that, like just pull the power level down a little bit. Like literally, that's all we need to do. Like people can't even play their games. Like I'm not willing to queue up a game or a deck that plays Magic because like there's just too many variables. Everything's too fast.
Like even if you did pare it down to like say you can only have 3 game changers, you can't even have LED. Like if you were wanting to include Rhystic Study, so it's like. Then you're Underworld Breach and LED. Like, yes, Brain Freeze isn't a game changer, but it's like now 2 of your 3 game changers are taken up because you want to run that particular combo. And so I think you see a much more diverse metagame. Some decks aren't even hurt at all by the concept, but they are, it's like Lumra, really great, right?
Yeah.
It's like, that takes a step forward and is able to battle things like Blue Farm. It's like the level of interaction changes, not in a bad way, but it does require a little bit more consideration when you want to put something in the deck that's like Force of Negation or Force of Will. So like you have to save mana, you have to pocket mana like here and there, like you can't be as aggressive on the play. Like I think it makes for a much more like studious game, something that you're much more considerate in your deck building. But again, that is a massive shift that there are so many people who are so used to everything that is going on right now. They're getting results. They're getting the results they want to see. And this change would upend that. Like it's like to make the only comparison I can, like really at the moment, it's very reminiscent of our current political atmosphere. It's like you want to make changes to anything. It's like there is a certain demographic of people who will get much louder if you make a change that would change their particular circumstances, right? Whether or not it's for the betterment of the whole, the people who it would affect, the minority, like who would disadvantage, get much louder. So as far as like and wanting to be more inclusive for the betterment of the game, ultimately something has to change in tournament EDH if they want the community to grow. If they are fine being the way they are at the moment, keep things the way they are. You know? But like I'm out. Like I am out at the moment because look at the state in the metagame. Like
yeah.
I just don't want to involve myself in this. These are not like, yes, it is a personal preference for the strategies that I play. I'm a Naya guy. I want to play the decks that I think and the strategies that I think are fun or competitive that I reflect who I am as a player. Currently, none of these decks that sit in the top 8 or top 10 or top 12 are reflect strategies or reflect who I am as a player and the strategies that I enjoy. So
I hear that. Yeah.
I also think, Ian, you've been hurt by the Ohio meta. The most recent cEDH event, Arkham Dagson won it.
I
with
saw
two
that.
Sisseys, and I'm assuming Kyle was playing Corvold because he's just a Corvold stan. He's really goddamn good at it. But there was no blue farm, like as far as the eye could see, that I can tell from looking at this leaderboard and knowing the people that I do. Like I'm assuming Connor in 5th, he was probably on Zuladoc. So it is truly if we can build more responsible metas than just how fast can I go and it doesn't matter what I do to throw a game. And also my hot take is because there's such a concentration of phenomenal players in Ohio, you have the less phenomenal players copying the deck, not practicing on it and throwing games. And then the people that are playing the mirror of it take advantage of that. So I think with that, yes, you could ban a Thoracle, but Thoracle's not a problem out in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think that's first off, Arkham, that deck's fire.
It is.
I think
100%.
it should see more play.
I saw the result and I was like, what the hell does that card do?
Yeah, but Luke's really goddamn good too, though. Let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of decks that are viable at locals, but you need a certain level of edge to do anything real at like big events. And Ohio's tough, dude. All the tournaments around here are just, I mean, you get a lot of good players traveling around just because they know that's where the best events are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like we got guys driving 3 hours for the locals. That's like 3 minutes away from my house, dude. Shout out to Better Play.
Yep. I'll say the last time I did it Better Plays, I ran across a liar, called him out in public, and decided to drop from that tournament.
We'll definitely come back.
Oh, I will. Yeah. I need to give you a big old hug. But yeah, for Ohio meta specifically, I could see Thoracle going away, and that would shake enough people up. And yes, Menace, your point, oh God, the minority of it would kick and scream, but it would make everybody's lives better.
Yeah, they would ultimately get over it, and they would find a way to persevere. If you truly are that competitor, right, you shouldn't have a problem with it because now you have a new challenge to overcome. And like, yes, you've gotten used to this strategy and you've seen success with it, right? Find another, like find the new route. And it is to say that there is two sides of that coin where I should just be playing the best cards. If I'm that competitor, I should just be playing. But then I become one of the 696 blue farm entries in the last 6 months nationally. And the next highest level of entry is Kinnan at 480 in the last 6 months. So it's like there is a massive split, and there are people out there, obviously 696 of them that are, have that mindset that are like, I'm going to play the best things currently win the game. Like, boom, I get it. Anyway.
I think that's a really good point. It touches on the like concept that cEDH is a mindset, not necessarily the deck you play, right? Like obviously like certain decks are better than other decks, but the idea is like, if it doesn't matter if you sit down with Blue Farm or if you sit down with, Gretchen Titwall or whatever, Titchwall or whatever, like that, if you're trying to win and you're playing your deck to the best and you're trying to make decisions that win you games, like that's the idea. So when you say something like, hey, if we all just adopted bracket 3, then it limits the power level, which means all of a sudden all these mid-range lists open up because people have a little bit more breathing room to like do what their deck is designed to do. So I think that's really all that we want, I guess, is just some breathing room, right?
I think there's a level of inclusiveness that bringing everything down to bracket 3 would diversify the metagame, one, and it would bring the spirit of Commander sort of back to the competitive scene, where like right now, like, you're saying like anyone playing Partners technically has an extra card in their hand. Yes, there could be a rule made about it, but if you limited the power level of those decks, then it becomes less of an issue. And, it's just like, ultimately the discussion is just meant, one, to create greater enforcement for the TOs and judges, like changes that can create a better structure for players and for TOs and for judges. Mm-hmm. That way everyone can come in expecting the tournament to start at this time. The tournament ends at this time. And what you do within the confines of that time period, will result in you winning a Gaia's Cradle or winning a Judge Foil or whatever, or winning a dual land. I don't know. Or being able to call yourself champion, either one. That is ultimately the reason for the suggestion of like timeout tokens and enforcement of rules and infractions to the rules, stuff like that. But yeah, and then talk about rebalancing the metagame. It's just, we want to see the best player win, the best strategist, the best cEDH player. We want to see them at the top so they can shine. Mm-hmm. And at the current juncture, all of us want to be that. If you're competitive, that's who you want to be. You want to be at the top. You want to stand at the mountaintop and scream out and say, I'm the best. And you want to be able to do that with your strategy, with your things. I want that for sure. There's just this part of me that can't play Blue Farm. I can't accept it. So maybe that's on me, but the pool of cards that currently exist make for unhealthy play patterns across the format. The changes that were suggested, or that I am suggesting, would just hope to seek to eliminate some of those play patterns so that the game is more fair across the board. I mean, there's something to be said about turn order being also a huge how it determines the results of games, but that's another discussion.
Yeah, that I think really it's just like this big event kind of flopping, I guess, if that's probably an appropriate term for it. I think that the best thing that we could hope for coming out of this is that that the TOs just recognize that the players have a high standard, right? And that the game attracts people who are highly intelligent and want to operate by a series of rules, right? So we've all come together and agreed to operate by these series of rules. And one of those rules is, there's going to be 4 players in the game. Another one of those rules is, we only have a certain amount of time we need to operate within, right? And we all have to share that. And if we don't if we don't have these TOs setting the incentives for the players to act the way that we all know that we should, it's never going to happen. If you just create rules on top of other rules, then I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing, which is I'm going to know the rules better than the guy across from me, and then I'm going to abuse him because he doesn't know the rules as well as I do. Right? And it's going to keep happening until until there's incentive for, you get an extra point if all your opponents check the smiley face box on the match slip at the end of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
If somebody doesn't check if somebody checks the sad face checkbox on your match slip, you lose a point. Like, until that shit happens. And I'm not advocating for that, but you get what I'm getting at. Like, there needs to be actual in-game incentive for me to be nice and mean it. Because right now, the only incentive to be nice, other than the fact that I like being an enjoyable person and like being around people that like I enjoy being around and who treat me well, is because if you like me, then there's a small chance less that you're going to counter my Ristic study or you're going to attack me when you had two options, like that is something that top players do. Right? You sit down at the table immediately. I need to make friends with all these people because I need them to listen to me. I need them to give me favorable breaks on their like close decisions. All sorts of stuff like that. And like right now it is in my benefit to sit there during mulligans and chat you guys up and make friends.
Yeah.
That's a good incentive. Right?
Outside of just being able to sleep at night, it's like, there you go.
Sure.
Yeah. Like
no, for sure. There's all sorts of like moral things that you can add to that. That's a good incentive. The fact that like I get paid for making friends, like that's a good incentive. Mm-hmm. We need more of that.
Yeah, I mean that's ultimately who you would hope is competing for the top spot is someone that you can see as a true representative of the format, someone who does it the right way, someone who reflects the best in all of us. That's your hero. So
that's how you want winning too.
Yeah, that's how you want to win. You want to win rightfully. Yeah. So I feel like we're getting here at the end of this discussion. Are there any like condensed final thoughts you want to put out there for the people to hear? Take your time.
Well, I guess I would say if you you're going to play 3-mans, make sure your deck can play tempo.
In case your TOs don't have the wherewithal to acknowledge that they're about to throw a wrench into the largest tournament of the year, make sure that your deck can play against 3 or in a 3-pot.
Yeah. It's a real thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I guess like I don't really have anything crazy to touch on that, but
I feel like we've gotten it all out there.
Yeah, no, definitely on the invitational side, I think people are talking about it, and that's important. And I think people are going to keep talking about it because it's something that needs change. There's sometimes you hear things that 11-hour game happened. It's like, oh, okay, well, what are we going to do about that? Set time limits on the end, at the end of games. It is what it is. But this is something where it's like, okay, no, the structure, this is not the player's fault. Yeah. Right? Like we can change this at the TL level.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's good.
This is something that like, yes, people still joke about and talk about the 11-hour game. That is the level that this should be. People should be talking about and if it ultimately becomes like a joke, it's also an acknowledgement that we shouldn't allow those things. But the 65-player tournament, should be talked about at the same level as the 11-hour game. It is an infraction on our expectation for the game and the format. It's just shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have happened. And same with the 11-hour game. It shouldn't have happened. So, yeah. There's certain things that we should keep talking about until the change is instituted as a rule or, until change. Ultimately, I think that the fact that the 11-hour game is still talked about is the, a reason to continue talking about it so that we can get the rule change necessary to make sure it doesn't happen again.
It points to just how much players value their time.
Yeah, nobody wants to be there for 11 hours. I think it was psychologically damaging to the players that were in it.
Oh yeah, dude, I would need 3 months off to recuperate from something like that.
Maybe I'm taking a break from cEDH. Sorry, I played in the 11-hour game. That was me. I'm there. I was there for it, and I had to listen to one guy politic for 4 or 5 hours.
Oh no,
super sucked.
Well, now it's time to queue up Toph. You're back in. We got a new Naya deck for you.
Yep. Oh, baby.
Pretty excited and look forward to.
Yeah, I know. I've been excited about Toph. It looks fun. It looks like we're talking about a little bit off record, but if you're unfamiliar with Toph, Naya, infinite mana sneezer.
Oh yeah. We'll see. Some genius out there is going to come up with some
way to crack it.
Everybody wants to play with Candelabra now these days.
Oh yeah. Who doesn't want to spend $1,300?
That's it, dude. I think they're like $3,000 now.
I see the lowest one, heavy play, is $1,350.
Okay. Yeah. I must have been looking at LPs.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, we could dive into Toph. I'll just have to get you back on the show to break down Toph for us.
We'll have a Naya episode.
Yes. All the Naya decks that are relevant in cEDH. Tordeth, you still there?
Yeah.
What happened?
He's there.
What? Yeah. So I think at this point we need the rules committee to come back and make some more meaningful bans, or we're going to continue to get heavy saturation, and we're no longer going to be allowed to go into the creative point of the triangle.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a big task up there at Wizards of the Coast to make this happen for us. So
yeah, absolutely.
So
if anybody has a faster Rocco deck than my list, please send it over to me on the Rocco Discord. Much appreciated.
It is on screen on the YouTube channel right now if you want to check it out.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Still running Sticker Goblin.
I know. I'm sorry. I didn't take your advice.
Yeah, you heathen.
I've had multiple games where I just forgot to reveal them at the beginning.
Talk about unhealthy play patterns.
Oh yeah, believe me, I called the judge, and half the time I got to roll for my stickers.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Unacceptable.
Right. Yeah.
It's unacceptable that it was not 100% consistently no. That's
correct.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
That's the issue here, is that somebody gave me that.
You lose a timeout token.
I deserve to lose a timeout token for that one for sure.
All right. We're getting out of here. This is the MoxStars podcast, the #1 podcast on the internet for Magic the Gathering and Dr. Pepper. If you like the sports show, you can find us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, ring that bell for more notifications. And if you have anything to say about this, make sure you leave a comment. And you can also find us on all podcasting platforms. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. Make us look super cool and help new people find the show. You can also support us on Patreon by becoming an official Pepperhead for $3 a month. Have an intern, Dr. Pepper Red, on the Discord server. Huge shout out to UWP Quirt, who is currently the only Pepperhead in the room. So get on there, jump on if you want to shout out every single episode. All right. We're out of here. Peace.
Bye, everybody.